the peppers and the celery, and they bring the cost of the salads up, and the oil,
yeah,
and
but
it's
now,
so hard.
I wanted to show you one thing here. You know, I had that one bread bill. That's, you know, it was another one of those heavy days on bills. It seems to me we paid out more than we took in again. I don't know what it is, but...
it's par for the course.
Yeah, I know. But,
it looks like another rough month for the grocery store. It's getting so we dread the end of the month.
Last week there were two young Norwegian fellows came in, and they heard that possibly we might want to sell. I think we've got to give it a lot of thought. I think we just can't jump in and say, no, maybe it's a way out right now. I think we just got to have a little time to think about it. When we bought this store almost 8 years ago, we built from that time on a substantial business, and I think that we did quite well. The first chain opened and we felt it some, but I think that wasn't really sort of the payoff punch, I think. But then they opened another one and another one under our noses here, and I think it's just...
I was thinking about getting married, and I needed some kind of work. I started as a clerk at a small store where we waited on people over the counter, and then I gradually went into the supermarkets, and I worked in different departments and worked myself up to what I am today, the manager of the store. Before they open up a store in any area, they go out and they survey the population, and they survey the possible growth as far as new buildings, and this was one of the first supermarkets in this area. You supervise everything from every department as far as price and cleanliness and help doing their job right and things like that. It's just a constant, you know, grind every day.
Okay, Mike. Right?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, when the chains first came in, we were concerned, you know, as to whether we could keep up our volume. We were worried about them, wondering whether they'd cut into our business, but then we hoped our special services would keep the customers coming, and so we started a few things, making muffins in the morning and cheesecakes and salads, homemade, and it's helped. It keeps the people coming in, and of course we've always done the saving papers and doing little favors for people and babysitting. And
I've thought about owning my own store, but not in this day and age because competition is too keen today.
Here comes another one of the bread men. A lot of these root men don't care about serving the small stores. As a matter of fact, one of the companies said, if you don't guarantee us so much on a delivery, we're going to drop you, and they did.
We have to discontinue. If we don't get net sales of $25 a week without returns, it's a company policy that we distinguish the account.
We rather do these people in chain stores. Believe me when I tell you, and I can speak for about 50 drivers. If we have approximately 60 that will pull out of our plant, there's a good percentage who'd rather do stores like this. And I'd rather deal with these people than anybody down the block, any chain store, any city, anywhere. You have a close relationship with these mom and pop stores. Hello, how are you? How's the wife? How's the kids? In a chain store, you got to run for a manager, go chase him. He's out for coffee. This guy doesn't want the responsibility to sign. I mean, the manager's not here. I don't need that.
This man wanted me to leave more product. And I kept telling him that I couldn't, because with my company, the policy is 10% stale, and then I have to eat half of whatever else I bring back, and then I'm out here working for nothing. In other words, if I buy, say, $1,000, right, and I bring back $150 stale, now the $100 they'll take back, but the $50, the company charges me back $25.
Good morning, Les. Good morning, John.
Don't worry. How many cups of coffee was made last night?
I made 60 because I worked last night. 60.
Okay.
Listen, before I forget, too, I'm making up the list. You might look, because I got to go get produce. If there's anything comes to mind, you better run that over. We are very fortunate, Barbara and I, to have John. He really is a mainstay here.
A pound, $2.29. Okay, very good.
It's very difficult today to find anyone who wants to dedicate themselves to a small business like this. We don't have the money to pay big wages, and unless the person likes working in the store and meeting the people and being with them, they just don't stay. Next to myself and Barbara, he helps to run the show. That's all. He takes a lot of the responsibility off my back with the ordering and so forth. Anything I skip, he picks up. That's what it amounts to. There's my wife and I, and he's sort of the third partner, you know.
Right now, the store is running into problems basically because of the large chain stores opening up recently. And from the time that I started here, I found a great business, especially on weekends and during the week, of the local people. But one of the problems that we ran into was the fact that a lot of the chain stores started dropping prices. And when I talk about dropping prices, I'm not talking in a fair margin where it should be competitive. I'm talking about dropping prices to where the cost of a certain item would cost us more to buy as a dealer than they were selling it to the public for, which basically is an out-and-out attempt to put the small stores out of business, because there's no way that you can compete on a basis like that.
Different departments has different price structures that bring in different amount of profits. The meat department runs around 28%, and then they have the produce department, which runs about 33%, and the grocery profit, which is the lowest profit, is about 1 or 2%. So different things that are sold brings back a different profit. Now, if you're going to go into specials, you have to try to offset your specials by pricing other things to coincide with them, and try to get an overall basic, what they call a mix. They call it a mix. They give you the basic profit mix, so it'll come out even for the whole weekly schedule of your produce and your meat.
We can't do it. We don't have the time. We don't have the machinery. This is done for them. The store managers don't have to worry about what the markups are. That's all told to them by the computers. You know, they get a printout sheet, and that's what it is. I'm not that fortunate. When my goods come in, no one tells me what I must sell it for to make the profit, or what I've got to sell it for to move it. That's my own choice. So the apparent thing always is that we're scalping everybody, and yet we're not. We sell many items for much less than you'd have to pay in the supermarkets.
Basic difference is money, you know. I mean, it's cheaper to shop at a big grocery store than to go to a smaller place. You know, their prices are marked up much higher.
The selection, you know, a lot more selection in a bigger store. I shop in a small store for convenience sometimes when the bigger stores are closed.
Prices are a little bit high, but it's the convenience that makes up for it.
I think they're all right for small items or for run-outs or things that you need in the middle of the week, but usually when you come for week shopping or big shopping, you're better off in the bigger stores.
The milk and some of the items are probably better priced here than they would be at the supermarket.
Price-wise, it's hard to go into a small store, and by the time you shop, especially if weekly, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and with everything going up, I don't need that.
Nowadays, people are doing the bulk of their shopping at the supermarkets. It used to be that we had many people that did the entire week's shopping here at Gray's, but times change, and they're so positive they can get better bargains at the supermarket that they do all their shopping there now and do the odds and ends here. We still act as a check cashing service for everybody. They'll come in with this car loaded to the gunwales with groceries from the A&P and cash a check and do nothing here, which I suppose is a thing you have to put up with when you're a small store. And I can understand in a way. I'm a consumer too, and things are tight nowadays, and if you can get a better buy down there, we try to compete, but sometimes we just can't. It's a problem. It really is.
The problem is when you can't get first-rate produce in a little store to offer the people, you can't sell it. And I was getting, all that was available to me really was, it was junk, that's all. I wouldn't use it, I wouldn't take it home in my own house, and I certainly wouldn't try and sell it to anyone. If I can get prime produce, I can put a price tag on it that's necessary for me to warrant handling it, and I can get rid of it. I have no problem, none. You know, it sells itself.
12 limes, okay, 1 strawberry.
Right. That's the idea. When you see something that looks real luscious, you know, you don't have to have anyone standing there giving you a sales pitch. You buy it.
Okay, John, thank you.
What we basically are a lobbyist organization on behalf of small business who up until now really haven't had a voice of any great extent. We now represent close to 450,000 members, and the way we go about it is, besides letting them know what the laws are, we ask them to participate and give us their opinion on bills coming up before Congress. You could be voting for someone who's trying to knock your brains out legislative-wise without even knowing about it. So we give you a scorecard on how these people voted, these legislators, and it's quite a simple thing. This is in the House, and this is in the Senate.
Every item in the store must have a price tag on it. To handle a big shipment of soda or beer or whatever when it comes in, or the milk before it can be put out for sale, it's got to be priced. And when you're in the store by yourself, I don't know, no way can you do it. It's impossible.
Well, as you know, they have it in New York City, and they had to ease off on it because we proved certain things. But the small businessman, it's impossible for him to do it. And if he had to do it all, he would have to hire extra help, which of course creates higher prices, more inflation, and all the rest of it. You've got to realize that this country was founded on small business, and they are the ones that's paying more taxes than anyone else. They don't have the loopholes that some of the bigger guys have. They don't have the attorneys or anything else like that. So therefore, they are taking a heck of a shellacking. And unless the small guy gets together like they did in France a few years back, and they did something about it, they got tax reform for the small guy and to give him a fair way of living. And don't forget, small business hires 60% of all private jobs in this country, and when we had the recession, the small businessman still maintained in there, and many of the big guys were going out of business.
We have a bus stop, and we watch children, make sure they safely get in the bus so the mothers don't have to. And this one babysitting deal we had, a little girl was alone 20 minutes a day, and her grandmother was supposed to pick her up. Her mother had had a baby. And Gray's Market babysat for 20 minutes each day. It's whatever happens, we do. It's very difficult living and working 24 hours a day together. If he makes a goof, I know about it. Family life. It's almost non-existent. Even though we're pretty much together 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, it's like ships crossing the ocean. I don't get to talk to him, and he doesn't get to talk to me. And there's one good thing about it. We see an awful lot of our son. We're available. Maybe not that instant, but he knows where we are, and we live right across the street, so that is a good thing. Josh stocks the shelves. He waits on the counter and does very well, even though he's only 13. It's helped him, too, because he was very shy and couldn't talk to people. And when he's behind the cash register, he knows more than they do, and he feels quite at ease with them. It's been a good thing for him, very good thing.
I'd say my working day consists of 7 in the morning till 6 at night on 4 days, 3 days a week, and the other 2 days I work till 9 p.m. And I work about 60, 70 hours a week. And I don't see much of my family except in the evening when I go home at night, you know. It's a long haul, but I've been doing it so long that I guess even on my days off, I get up early because I can't sleep. You know, I'm acclimated to this type of life.
We can't plan our life the way we would like to have it, and because his job is so demanding, and I have to plan around it. And we've had a lot of disappointments because of it.
The chain started to open on Sundays. That was the bad, that did it. It's really cut down on our Sundays, although They still come in, but not the way they used to.
The law states that if you are a certain size or certain number of employees, that you may not open on Sunday. Yet they flout this thing. They've been going right on, and that cuts into me. That cuts into all the little stores. That used to be our day. That was the day that we slaved 90 hours a week to maybe reap a little profit. But there's nothing done. They certain what and if a big store gets fined $50, what you know, that's cheap advertisement for them for the day.
I think that one of the things that can be done about it, number one, is the enforcing of the blue law, which prohibits the big stores from being open on Sundays. As you see, these stores are opening up regardless to what the law is. You know, you run a business for many years and you find out that the big stores are gradually taking away your customers, and by the time that you realize that you have to do something, your stock is down because you're using the income from your stock to replenish what has been taken out, which means that your capital that you would have to work with is basically depleted. And when it comes down to advertising, you're talking a small advertisement could run you anywhere to $200 to $1,000, depending on what size ad you wanted in a newspaper. So you're talking a lot of money when you talk trying to advertise and cut some of the big stores out in this area.
I don't know the answer. Maybe we're not doing something right, but we do everything we know how to please the customers and to give them what they want, and we do try to compete with the prices as best we can with the supermarkets. We certainly give them way more service and little things that they could never get in a supermarket. But I don't know. Something's got to be done or we just can't survive. And I don't think we're alone either. Well, they may not realize it now, but we'll be missed if our store closes, if we're gone.
It's fine with me. I think they're ripping everybody off. Well, they do charge, you know, like I said. You know, some things are 20 cents more. You know, it's ridiculous.
I wouldn't like it because it's much easier to, you know, to stop into a small store. You could leave the, you know, the child in the car because you can see the child, you know, from inside the store and just run in and get your milk and whatever and be out in a few minutes.
I don't know. I still think we need the small stores because many times the small stores are open later when the larger stores are not. The small stores are sometimes more convenient because they're right around the corner.
You're buying something more than just a product when you're dealing in a local small store. You have the friendship and the personal touch to it, which you don't have in the so-called supermarket store, which is more or less like a factory deal.
Well, now that this store is open on Sundays, it's not a big problem. But before that, it would have been a problem if the small stores closed.
This kind of almost has the general store quality. Not quite the way it was many years ago, but it still has some of that flavor, which I think is very pleasant in a community.
I think a community prospers more if they have a bigger store than a smaller store. I think that they wouldn't miss it. I don't think they would miss a small store in a community if they had a bigger store to shop in. You know, they'd probably feel better that they had a big store with a bigger selection of things, you know, because the small store really puts them down to where they can only get certain things at certain times and things like that.
One reason that Barbara and I are in business, I guess, is because we like people, and we've made a lot of friends while we've been in business, and when things are going fine, of course, it's a great place to be, and it's nice to work here, and we enjoy the whole thing. And we, as a matter of fact, one time thought of expanding, but decided against that because we were afraid we'd lose the personal touch. And this is not the way you run a business like this. We called the fellows who were interested in buying the place and told them, no, we're not going to sell it. Just, we'll sweat our way through the thing and do the best we can and try and leave something to the community when we do finally quit, and let people realize that we've maybe served a purpose that if we were in their places, I think we would be glad that we had a store to come to like ours.